Hey, is this thing on? Hello? Hit it again. I think it's on now. Welcome to Hiker Trash Radio, where each week, Doc will drag some colorful characters out of the woods to talk trail and Type 2 fun. If you're aspiring hiker trash, or if you're just looking to understand the hiker trash in your life, look no further. So lace up those boots, gnaw on some jerky, and settle into your 20-mile pace as we fire up the podcast from somewhere deep in the backcountry. It's time to embrace the suck.
Welcome back to another week on the trail, dirtbags, hiker trash, and of course, good smelling day hikers. I'm Doc, and this is Hiker Trash Radio. Hey, if you like what we're doing here, help us out. Take just a minute, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And if you don't like it, just go ahead and keep that to yourself. All right, let's get to this week's guest, an adventure photographer with an impressive resume and some stories to tell. Welcome to Hiker Trash Radio, Frankie Spontelli. How's it going, Frankie?
Going good. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for your time. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Now, we didn't cover the pronunciation of your last name before we started recording. I'm hoping I did okay with it.
You nailed it. Yeah, the telemarketers, they tend to say Spontelli, add some extra syllables in there, but you nailed it.
Fantastic. I caught myself. I wanted to add an extra syllable, but I said, hey, I was an English teacher. I can recognize phonetically how this sounds.
Nice. Well done.
All right. Hey, Frankie, with all your time on the trail, have you picked up a trail name yet?
I think we were emailing back and forth about this. I have a little bit of a brand built around my photography. So Fr33water is that name, and maybe that would be my trail name if it ever stuck in that sense. So that would be it, but not necessarily a full-on trail name that's been given to me, more kind of something that I've used to brand my photography for a while.
Nice. I've taken the liberty of going ahead and changing your name on screen to Fr33water. I like it. It just flows off the lips. That's nice.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And I apologize to our viewers on YouTube. You may see the screen shake occasionally. It's because the Doc household is in total chaos right now. The studio is all torn apart. I'm dialing this in from a card table right now, which has all kinds of issues. So I apologize for the wobble. And if all of a sudden I drop out of the picture, so we'll keep going. We're professionals here.
Sounds good.
All right. Hey, Fr33water, have you had a chance to listen to the podcast before?
I think twice. Right before this, I was listening to your latest episode, which was a very interesting one. And then I think I've heard about it through a buddy who's hiked the PCT. Calvin Weibel is his name. His trail name was Hobbs. He did a northbound send on the Pacific Crest Trail, but I've heard of you. And when you reached out, I was excited for the opportunity.
Fantastic. Big shout out to Hobbs, listening to the podcast out there on the trail. I love that. That's what makes me most happy, is knowing that hikers are out there on the trail listening to the podcast.
For sure.
Okay. Hey, I only asked, I wasn't fishing for compliments. I only asked because I want to make sure that you are aware that we have a segment towards the end of the episode where I will turn to you and ask you to share some trail wisdom with our listeners to make the next outdoor experience even better. This is called the hiking hack.
Yeah, I'm aware of it. I've been thinking, I listened to a number of the different kind of like segments and the different questions that you ask your other guests. So I'm aware, and I'm thinking of what kind of wisdom I can put out there for people. Okay.
Now, sometimes I have guests who come in already just preloaded. They've got their hiking hack. They know what it's going to be, and then they give it up during the first segment, and then they're still on the hook when we get to the end. So don't fall into that trap.
Got it.
Trailblazers Toolkit.
That's right, Fr33water. It's time for the Trailblazers Toolkit, sponsored by the ultralight backpacking gear company 6 Moon Designs. Now, I love to talk about gear on the podcast, and I love to hear about the most important item in my guest adventure gear. Fr33water, if you were preparing for your next adventure and I was the one providing you with all your gear, what is the one specific piece of gear you would insist on being packed? Make sure to give me all the specifics on that piece of gear and tell me why you've got to have it out there. And this can be any type of item. It could be gear, it could be apparel, it could be a luxury item. So, Frankie, what is that item in your toolkit?
I think I have to go with the obvious for me. And I thought of a few different items before jumping on here. I think it's my camera. It's just something that has inspired me to always get outside, and not the lightest piece of equipment in my bag by any means, but it's certainly driven a lot of my adventures, and is something that continues to get me out there and gets me further into the backcountry. I'm going to have to go with, my Sony A7R4, typically running like one or two lenses on there, but if I can only pick one, it's probably a wide angle lens, like a 16 to 35 millimeters. It's a heavy camera, but that's what I do, and that's a big driver behind my adventures.
Yeah, you can get by with a lot of generic gear out there. You don't have to have the exact tent or the exact sleeping bag or the exact pack. But I imagine a photographer's got to have that camera that he is comfortable with, familiar with, he knows the quality, he or she knows the quality. So I'm not surprised when you got that specific with the camera.
For sure. Yeah, there were some other items I thought of that really I can't live without when I'm on the trail, but I just think it was maybe the obvious pick here when we went live. So, yep.
Now, I saw a headline. I didn't read the story, but I saw a headline the other day about the death of the camera, that cameras are going to be a thing of the past. Everybody's got a camera in their pocket as part of their phone. What is your opinion on that?
iPhones especially have come such a long way with 3 different cameras on there, 3 different lenses on there now. The technology in them is incredible. You can shoot star photography on something in your pocket. So if you're more of a minimalist or someone that's hiking big miles and doesn't want to be bogged down by a camera, then the power of the smartphone is undebatable. I prefer cameras just because there's just more I can do with it. I do feel a little bit limited if I only had my phone. I don't know if they'll go away altogether, but it's certainly becoming more a part of my content creation routine, is grabbing the phone to shoot a little video clip here and there. But I still rely heavily on my camera, just purely based on how it feels in my hands and the way I can move it around differently and change focal lengths and change lenses to provide different kind of feelings and angles through the images I'm capturing. For me, the camera will stay in my pack for a while. I'd be curious to see how much they can advance the cameras on smartphones over the next few years.
Now, tell me about your Sony. Why the Sony? What are the features? What is the reasoning behind that choice of camera, and how much does it weigh?
Ooh, I wish I knew exactly. It's, like I said, it's the A7R4, so just a powerhouse in terms of definitely more photo heavy camera, not necessarily on the video side, but you can still shoot video on it. I think it has like a 60 megapixel sensor. So if you wanted to make it, you could blow up a billboard the size of a building. So just a really powerful sensor in there, great in low light conditions. It's probably a few pounds with the glass on there. And for me, I started on Canon. My brother-in-law gave me his old Canon back in the day, and then he upgraded to Sony, and I just followed suit. They've come a long way. It used to only be Canon and Nikon in the game, and Sony has really come in and disrupt that entire field. And I would say they're probably one of the leaders. They're very versatile. They're also bomb-proof, in my opinion. I've taken mine through some crazy weather conditions and mud and snow and rain, and it's done very well for me through any kind of conditions. Just like I'm used to it. I'm used to the menus in it, and I don't really see myself changing from Sony systems anytime soon, but it's just kind of familiarity, and I really love the results I get out of it.
Got it. Now, do you have a special attachment for the Sony that you can attach it to your pack, your chest, or is it on a strap that you sling across your back? How does that work?
Yeah, so I opt to bring both. It's a Langley camera strap. It actually has 2 paracord emergency bracelets on it. And then I use a Peak Design camera clip. It's called a capture clip or something like that. It goes right on the shoulder strap of your backpack. And I clip the camera there so that I'm not having to open my backpack every time, just can really quickly unclip it from my shoulder and point and shoot from there. I love that when I'm out backpacking or hiking bigger trails. It's become an essential part of my kit.
Okay. Hey, we're going to talk more about your camera and your photography a little bit later, but right now,
it's the hiking pole.
All right. To keep us talking about gear, we've got the hiking pole, and that's pole spelled with 2 L's. like a survey, not like the thing you carry in your hands out there. All right. This is a 7-question survey that's going to help me give you a score on the sanity scale from 1 to 100, with 1 being completely insane and 100 being completely sane. Spoiler alert, no one has scored 100 yet.
Got it.
Okay. If I were to ask your friends and family about where would they put Frankie on the sanity scale, where do you think they'd rank you?
And remind me again. So 100 being like very sane and
very sane, level-headed, very predictable, settled in his lifestyle, no, very consistent.
Sure. Probably like 80.
Oh,
pretty cautious guy, pretty calculated in a lot of my decision making. There are some times where I'll do something, make a jump or do something risky, but for the most part, pretty calculated in terms of like my decision making and level-headedness. Yeah.
Okay. Free water, I'll be the judge of that.
All right.
Okay. Here we go. 7 questions. They're all related to hiking. I'm not sure which episode you listened to, but I'm going to change things up on you. You think you might know what's coming, but you don't.
All right.
All right. So question number 1, what are the top 3 topics of conversation on the trail with you?
Ooh, that's a good one.
You're out there hiking, you're pounding the miles, you got a buddy with you. What topics are you bringing up?
I guess this takes me to a backpacking trip we took last summer where we were like ranking everything, like ranking our favorite states or ranking our favorite hikes or ranking national parks. So that would be one topic, like just ranking everything we could think of, like fast food restaurants or anything like that.
Totally get it. Yep.
I'm trying to think what else. Maybe just like what we're going to do either when we get to camp or our next stopping point or just what's next. And then the third thing for me is like how many miles or what is left to climb. I'm always curious of like how many miles are left on this day or what else is left after this next obstacle. So those would probably be 3 things that come up quite often on my hikes.
You bring up a good point. So two out of the 3 of those are related to hiking. The other one, you're just ranking random stuff out there, whatever comes to mind.
Exactly. Yep.
In terms of the 2, or at least one of the 2 of the ones about hiking, is it better? This is not part of the poll. I'm just curious. Is it better to have inaccurate information about what's ahead of you or no information about what's in front of you?
On the big days, no information. On just like a normal day, then I do like to know, okay, like the worst of it is behind us. And now we call it the cruiser trail. So the cruiser trails are ahead. A mix of both. On the big days, I ask those questions the least until I know, okay, 2/3 of the day is done. Now I can get my mindset right and think about what else is left to do today.
Now, free water, that wasn't exactly my question. What question was, is it better to have no information about what's ahead of you or inaccurate information about what's in front of you?
Probably inaccurate.
That'd be worse.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so. Because inaccurate, it's all about expectations, right? It's about expectations. And so if someone says, hey, you're almost to the top and you've got another 6 miles to the top, right? It's 6 miles of false summits. You're going to be really ticked off by the time you get there because you're expecting just a half mile.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I would rather inaccurate information. Keeps me on my toes, keeps me going for sure.
Okay. All right. Question number 2 on the hiking poll. What is the best trail name encountered out there?
I don't know. I don't know a ton of trail names. Oh, man. I guess I think back to my buddy who did the PCT, Hobbs. Like it wasn't a part of his name at all, but Calvin, Hobbs, they stuck and yeah.
So his name is Calvin and he got Hobbs.
Yep.
The comic. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 3. Toilet paper, bidet, leaves, or snowball?
I can only pick these choices.
Is there another choice I'm not thinking of?
I go with butt wipes.
Oh, butt wipes.
Yeah.
Okay. Why butt wipes?
If you're doing like a multi-day trail, you want to squeaky clean. Keep it squeaky clean down there. I think butt wipes are the way to go. A lot of them can be used as like basically like a body wipe as well. So 2-in-1 kind of use. separate those, pack them out always, but butt wipes for me.
Yeah. You want to be squeaky clean. That makes better chances for no chafe. You just don't want to do the butt wipe and then the body wipe, right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely not.
They're separate things. Yep.
Okay. Got it. Question number 4. Breakfast in camp, on trail, or no breakfast?
Usually in camp.
Take your time on the way out?
I like to definitely fuel up. I'm a breakfast eater. On this last big hike we did, it was breakfast at the refugio. There was food there waiting for us. It's like, why not eat here? Why not eat now? I'm a big fan of at least getting like some nutrients and some coffee in me before starting.
Okay. Question number 5, solo hiking or tramily?
Tramily. Is that hiking with a crew?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I used to hike alone more, but it's awesome to have your friends with you. There's nothing like having a good crew of hiking buddies and the laughter. That's what makes those long, hard days feel shorter and more memorable.
Yeah. And when you're hiking alone, you have to be faster than the bear. Whereas if you're with a buddy, you only have to be faster than your buddy. So
exactly. Yeah.
Sweep the leg and run. All right. Exactly. Question number 6, rank the following in terms of your preference. Which do you prefer? Severe uphill, severe downhill, road walk?
Probably road walk, severe downhill, then severe uphill. Nobody likes going uphill. I'm just going to be real honest.
The road walk's like a cruiser trail?
Exactly. We stay cruising out here in Colorado. Yeah. So
yeah. My son and I, when we've been out on the trail, one of our conversations is we rank different types of trail, and we have nine options. I think it's 9. Something like there's flat, there's slight downhill, there's severe downhill, there's slight uphill, severe uphill, and a few other variations, including sandy, a lot of gravel, rocks and roots thrown there as well. So I mean, we got really dialed into that. And I tell you what, I prefer severe uphill to severe downhill.
That's unique. I can't stand scree fields and boulder fields. I can't stand it. And there was a lot of that on this last big hike that we did, and just a lot of like loose gravel downhills. It's just give me a break, please.
Yeah. For my Southern California listeners, if you're ever thinking about doing Mineral King Loop in Sequoia National Park, the trail down from Sawtooth Pass is just a pumice field. It's like you're skiing on pumice. It's just terrible. All right.
I couldn't stand that.
Yeah. Yeah. Question number 7, last question in the hiking poll. What's on your head? Ball cap, floppy hat, straw hat, sun hoodie, or no hat, or something else that you're going to throw at me?
Sun hoodie.
Sun hoodie. That's the way to go, right?
That's become another of the things you said. What would I have to pack? Sun hoodie has become essential for me. I don't do well in hot, direct suns. Yes, I would say sun hoodie for sure.
Yeah, and before my critics send me nasty emails or give me poor ratings, I understand that with the sun hoodie, you can also wear a ball cap, and that's probably the preferred arrangement. I wear a ball cap and a sun hoodie, so that should be like a combination choice. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Okay. What about, again, not part of the hiking poll, but just curiosity, because you mentioned direct sun. Do you prefer to wear shorts, hiking pants, long sleeve shirt, short sleeve shirt? How does that all work?
I rock sun hoodie and shorts.
Oh, that's an interesting look.
Yeah. I like to feel cool in the mornings, and then as it warms up throughout the rest of the day, I don't really have to change or alter my layers until the evening. Bringing less clothing is always important. And yeah, I do sun hoodie shorts. I'm sure that's maybe frowned upon, but we all have our own trail style.
That's right. All right. Hey, Free-water, stand by. I have to do some math here. We're going to take your answers. We're going to put them through Hiker Trash Radio algorithm here.
All right.
I got to take off my shoes so I can use my toes. So I got to carry the 3. We're going to divide by root 5. Got to multiply that by pi. And we're going to make a slight adjustment for the amount of pumice in your right trail runner. And I come up with a score of 63.
All right. I'll take it.
That's relatively high.
Nice.
You're one of the saner folks, at least up to this point in the interview. That score can change as we go.
All right.
Okay. Hey, before we get too far down the trail, let's back up a little bit and let's talk about your background. Where'd you grow up? What kinds of sports and hobbies were you involved in as a kid? And how did you get involved in the outdoor adventure cult?
Sure. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, Believe Land, as they call her. And
what do they believe?
In our sports teams? I don't know.
How tough is it being a Browns fan?
Oh, it's terrible. I guess I'm lucky. I went to the Ohio State University, so we have the Buckeyes at least, but that's not Cleveland's.
And do they require you when you graduate to always use the word "the" in front of Ohio University?
I was waiting for that. They don't require it, but not to be confused with Ohio University. Not required, but yeah, grew up in Cleveland. Spent a lot of time exploring. Not a lot of people know that there's a beautiful metro park system there. Cleveland Metro Parks. Spent tons of time there, just like creek walking. And we would just go down the street on our bikes and spend a lot of time out in the forest and in nature there. And then eventually I made my way out to Colorado. But yeah, back in Cleveland, I was involved in soccer and anything that kept me moving. I was like a spasmodic ADD kind of kid and always had to be out running around and really enjoyed just like playing in the yard, in the metro parks, and then being outside.
Got it. Now you glossed over the whole conversation about the Browns pretty quickly. I'm going to go back. Not going to let you off the hook that easy. I mean, were you a Bernie Kosar fan? Were you?
I would games? Not ask me about sports. I'm going to be real honest.
Okay. All right. That's why we glossed over it. Got it. Yeah. Okay. I couldn't tell if you were really dialed in and didn't want to talk about it or just didn't want to talk about it.
No, I would say I follow like soccer more than any kind of football or anything. And living out here, the run we have
a soccer powerhouse, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think it was the run we had out here at the Nuggets was super exciting and got behind that big time. But other than that, my sports knowledge is nothing.
Okay. All right. We'll stick to photography then. Photography and hiking. All right. So let's so it was part of the Cleveland park system that kind of got you interested in doing outdoor stuff?
Yeah. I was a part of ski club at college, and we used to take trips out to Colorado. It was a really fun time. They would put a case of beer under every seat on the bus, and we would drive out from Columbus, Ohio, and go out and experience what it was like to ski and snowboard in Colorado's Rockies. And that's what really got me hooked and wanted me to motivate me to move out west and start exploring Colorado more.
Yeah, and it's funny for us people on the West Coast to hear Colorado described as out west, because that kind of I'm probably a little better in geography than most of I don't know whoever, but a lot of people think that Colorado's in the center and not out.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's this, I don't know, there's like a saying, it's especially for Midwesterners, everyone starts to drive west, and as soon as you hit the mountains, that's why there's such a mix, such a pot in the Denver and Colorado area of Midwesterners and so many different states, because we don't make it any further. We have the first sight of peaks. That's it. We hit it. We stop. We make it home.
That's right. Hey, dang, those mountains are high. We're stopping here. Welcome home.
Exactly.
Yes. Now, any brothers or sisters? Free-water?
Yeah, I have an older sister. Yep.
Is she also a dirtbag?
She got me into adventuring as well. After living up in Vail, Colorado, I went and traveled, and she lived in New Zealand for a period of time. So I got to spend 60 days there while she was in university there. And she definitely got me into hiking and motivated me to explore and get into the outdoors more. And visiting her in New Zealand, hopefully not a once in a lifetime experience, but had a huge impact on my love for the outdoors.
Is she still there?
She actually lives out here in Colorado now.
Oh, did you get any time on the TA out there?
What exactly is that?
TA it stands for Te Araroa,
Okay.
I'm butchering that pronunciation. I know my Kiwis out there that are yelling at the radio right now, but it is their national trail that goes across their country, which goes through a lot of towns, cities. There's some road walking involved, but it also goes through Lord of the Rings country, which has got to be pretty awesome.
Hobbiton. Yeah, no, I didn't do that. I want to go back and hit a couple of the great walks. That's definitely on our hit list. I'd love to take my wife back and revisit New Zealand. There's just some of the most outstanding epic scenery there. Even just like with your smartphone or professional camera, it's a stunning place to visit and hike. Had a huge impact on my love for adventure and landscape photography.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned photography. We mentioned earlier that you are a photographer. Do you make your living as a photographer?
I do, yeah. I'm a full-time commercial photographer. A lot of my work encompasses working with outdoor brands and tourism boards.
Really? Tell me a little bit more about that.
So the kind of like the core of what I do, especially the work with tourism boards, is a lot of partnerships with a online travel publication called the Journal of Lost Time. We partner with various destination marketing organizations. Basically, the example I can give of a recent project we did was Big Sky, Montana. They send us out there, we book a group of talent, and then we take them around through various adventures, showcasing everything that, say, an area like Big Sky has to offer. This last project incorporated hiking, mountain biking. We got to do a helicopter ride over Yellowstone. It has granted me just like once in a lifetime opportunities and super unique team to be a part of. But very cool experiences have come. And some days I'm at work, but it's a hard thing for me to say. It's like, how is this a job? I have to pinch myself and be like, all right, get back to it. You are working right now, but it's some of the coolest things I've ever experienced.
How did you land that gig? That sounds incredible.
It's a long story. I can summarize it by saying I went on a photography workshop with two people that I look up to big time in the adventure photography space, a guy named Nate in the Wild and his partner Autumn. They host a Northern Lights workshop in Lofton Islands of Norway. And I was super curious to go there and joined them on that. And long story short, he connected me with the producer of this online publication that I was telling you about. And it has turned into some of the most exciting projects I've ever worked on.
Wow. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So how far abroad have you ranged? How many continents? How many countries?
Oh, that's
any idea?
One. I think I visit like probably under 20 countries at this point, which at this point, like that's awesome to say that and continue to count and visit new places. Yeah, it's been a dream come true to do this. It has not been an easy path. And there's a lot of people that I talk to who are trying to get into this space and they say, I want to do what you do. And it always sounds so glamorous, but there's a lot of sacrifice and super time consuming and puts a lot of pressure and stress. Just any job would. It comes with its baggage and its stressors. It is amazing. I can say I love what I do, but like any job, it comes with its pain points sometimes.
Now, in addition to the Journal of Lost Time, where else can we see your work? Have you done any publications or books?
No official books. I don't know if I can plug my social media at all, even though you've been saying the trail name. I think the majority of my work's just online and spread across various tourism sites and on some outdoor brand websites. No real book, but that would be awesome. It'd be cool to make. I've always had this idea of doing like at least the Colorado coffee table book where I compile some of my favorite memories and hikes and moments and try to push that around here in the Denver area, but maybe down the road one day.
Yeah, and that's one of the perks of being on this podcast is you get to share your social media handle. So feel free to just drop it in wherever.
Awesome. Yeah, you've been saying it, Freewater. The E's are threes, so Fr33water on Twitter, Instagram, and my main website, frankieboyphotography.com. are just some of the ways you can check out, support my work, order prints. I have a blog where I talk about a lot of the hikes we do, which is just freewater.com. Same thing. It's Fr33water.com. If you want to order a print or check out some hikes, I do a lot of my guides and hiking itineraries and gear talk over there on the blog.
Okay. And speaking of those types of adventures, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from the sponsors, pay some bills. And when we come back from the break, we're going to get into some of the stories from those trails and also from your most recent trip, which I believe you just completed.
Yeah, my legs are still fried, but yeah, look forward to talking about this one.
All right, stay tuned. We'll be right back. And welcome back. We are talking to Frankie Spontelli, aka Freewater, and that's Freewater with 2 3s for some reason. I'm not sure about that, but we heard a little about his background and his experience in photography. And we're going to get to some stories from your trips, but I'm going to keep connected to the photography job for just a second here, because one of the items that jumps out from the list here for me is this whole llama packing trip. And I have a feeling that was related to work somehow.
Yeah. Once again, big shout out to the Journal of Lost Time for sending me out on that one. That was basically the first project I did with them, a collaboration with Discover Kalispell in Kalispell, Montana, right outside of Glacier National Park. Super unique opportunity. We were sent out to experience exactly what you just said, llama packing. Very unique style of backpacking. Basically, you're not moving very quickly. The fortunate part is that the llama carries your gear, so you carry very little except for me because I have the camera bag on and hauling all my gear still. So the llama has my backpacking gear, and they go at llama speed is what they say, and it's not very fast. It's a pretty slow pace, and I think we had like 7 or 9 miles to cover that day, and we were late to start. It was just such a unique thing. They're constantly eating on the trail. They're eating all the greenery around them, and it's just they're just doing their thing, and you are at the liberty of pulling this leash of a llama, which is way bigger than a dog. It goes where it wants to go. It steps off the trail, and very inconveniently, their butts are right at your nose and eye level. So anytime it's farting or whatever it's doing, if it's taking a poop, you're just right there up next to it. And they do nothing but eat and fart and poop. That basically the entire duration of this 7 to 9 mile hike that we did in the Swan Mountain range outside of Kalispell there. And it was a super great experience. It's definitely for people that are curious about backpacking and maybe they're like a little timid and want to get into it, but they're not sure about carrying the gear, or they don't know everything about what to bring. The guides will keep you really safe, and they'll pack extra things for you and make it almost glamping type backpacking experience by bringing basically everything you need. There were some things that we didn't have because we weren't fully prepared for backpacking, so they brought them along, and we get out to camp and they set up a table and cook dinner for you. So super unique experience to be out there. And then as it got later into the night, we lit up a campfire, and they strategically placed the llamas around the campground because apparently the grizzly bears, they do not like the llamas. The bears are essentially afraid of the llama, and the llama will make this noise. It's like a car alarm sound if it feels threatened or scared, and will pretty much immediately scare a grizzly off. But I just thought that was so unique that they perched them around camp like little sentries. And the first thing I thought of, like, these guys they're grizzly food for sure. And I remember I laid down in my sleeping bag, and very vividly I could hear something like right away. And it was one of the llamas. It wasn't making the car alarm noise, but it was alarming everyone that something was nearby. And I just remember shooting up and just like being scared, not only for us, but for the llama's safety too. And just super unique experience to be out there with a different type of animal than like a horse or a dog. But yeah, if you ever get the opportunity and you're just curious about backpacking, or maybe you can't carry a pack anymore, definitely check this out. It was, I would say, once in a lifetime thing for me, but very fun. And the photos and just like the other stories that came out of it were super unique.
Free water, I have questions, but before I get to the questions, I just have to make an observation that I'm always on the lookout during the interview, for the trail name for the episode. Right, I apply that same kind of theory where something unusual, funny, peculiar happens, and that's going to be the title of the episode. And we may have stumbled across it already with Nose at Butt Level with Frankie Spontelli.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's a very unfortunate placement, and their saddles keep their tail really high. But yeah, it's just a thing. It's just you can't not look, and it's just right there.
Now, llama speed, that sounds like my kind of pace. I can get behind that.
Yeah, definitely a slower pace. We were with a few people that had done the PCT, and they're fast hikers. And we were just, you could only go at the pace that the llama wanted to go at. And they stop and eat, and then you need to get them some water and so on. It's definitely more of a lazy pace, but it's great for photos and other ways to just take in your surroundings and the beautiful scenery that is out there in the Swan Mountain area.
We talk about sometimes this whole concept of pounding the miles and looking forward to your destination and not paying attention to what's around you in the moment. This sounds like a perfect way to combat that mentality. You're forced to slow down and look around and really take it all in.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would agree with that big time. And for the people that didn't have camera gear on their backs, it's just like walking with a big dog. I think that's great too. I know for me, when I'm out backpacking, I'm always carrying an excessive amount of gear purely because of the camera equipment I bring out with me, but that bogs me down and has its own, not stressor on me, but just it wears you out. It's exhausting. So to be free and take in the environment a little bit more while going at a different pace, it can't hurt.
Now, are they obstinate? Are they stubborn like donkeys?
A little bit. I remember our guy's name was Rafi. He would just eat nonstop. Like the other ones would continue moving, but anytime we took a break, he's just over there in the bushes, just like a dinosaur from like A Land Before Time, like a Disney movie, just chomping anything he can find. I forget what the berry is out there, but he just nonstop eating all the time. And yeah, you have to tug him a little bit, and they're really funny creatures. They spit too from time to time. It's everything you would think about a llama. That's very true to them.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if there was any spitting involved, because I heard about llamas.
They do that. I forget exactly like what it means, but
can't be good.
Yeah, I think they do it when they are a little like aggravated. Yep.
Now I have to ask you. You brought it up, so I've got to ask you. Can you recreate the car alarm sound that the llamas make? I need to have a better understanding of what that sounds like.
Oh God. It's like this like tongue rattling, like just very loud. Like I'm surprised you asked me to do that on here, but it's very alarming. You would know, like you shoot up in your sleeping bag, you're like, oh, something must be nearby because the llamas aren't happy.
Yeah, and grizzlies, of course, say that is the sound of the creature that spits at me. I am out of here.
I was surprised because the guides both have guns on them and we all have bear spray. But yes, I was surprised at the tactic and also surprised that the bears are afraid of them.
Okay. All right. That is a fun little story right there. Let's move on to some of your other experiences. Are they related to work as well?
I think some are not. The other ones I sent your way of ideas to chat about are, my wife has a knack for planning epic birthday hiking adventures for us. She is a big time planner, loves to do research, loves hiking. So she has this thing of just every year taking up her birthday to the next notch and seeing how big can we go. So the past few years has been this progression of basically when we first started dating, it was Blue Lakes, Ice Lakes here in Colorado. From there, we did Wind River Range and then Sawtooths up in Idaho. And then finally, which takes us to this summer, Last summer was Four Pass Loop. And then this summer we tackled the Alta Via 4 through the Italian Dolomites. So just each year, just really stepping up this amazing trip that we can go on and experience together and create some amazing memories.
Now, did you say that she plans these for her birthday?
Yeah.
It's like you're getting a present too. This is awesome. Free-water, if you didn't know, she's a keeper.
She is a keeper. I love her adventurous spirit, and she's really good at planning. It's especially the one we did this summer, and even something like Four Pass Loop. You have to do your research on these bigger hikes, and to tie all these adventures together, the way she does it is seamless, and it has a huge impact on our ability to enjoy it. And yeah, I always ask her, I'm like, how are we going to top this next year? But I think she just gets the gears turning. Actually, this is the first time where you plan the next one.
It's going to be tough to top the last one. Now, does she have a trail name?
Her brother calls her Schlee. So Schlee Wanders might be her trail name. Ash, not exactly. Yeah, no.
She's big into planning though, right?
Yeah.
Maybe her trail name is Spreadsheet.
Oh, that's really funny because all the trips are planned. Her job is marketing data analytics. All the trips are planned in an Excel document, and she would be very pleased if that was her trail name. That sticks, and I think she'd be happy to have that as a trail name.
Don't let her listen to the episode. We'll keep this between us, and you can just fly that on your own and claim it.
I will. I'll do that.
Nice. All right. Now, you mentioned Wind River Range. I'm always intrigued by the winds. Tell me about your trip there.
Sure. We did Circa the Towers. It's a 28-mile loop. Oh, this one was a couple summers ago. Big days. I think we did 3 nights. 3 nights and almost 4 days of hiking. Lots of just varied, super incredible scenery in there. Backpacked into, I believe, Shadow Lake on the first night. And same thing, my wife has this knack of jumping in freezing cold lakes. So her and a few people jumped in there, swam around. I remember the mosquitoes were horrendous because we usually go right around 4th of July. So that was a very distinct memory of mosquito net on, can barely even eat your meal or sit there for a second without just like getting fully swarmed, which did improve a little bit as we made our way to the other campgrounds. But just that definitely has an impact when you're out there. It's something that you don't want to remember that through all the other great memories, but the bugs were bad back there, and that's when they first start coming out. I know there was a little bit of route finding with that one too, because it was a little earlier in the season, so there was a lot of deadfall that had just trees that had blocked the trail. But once you get past a certain point, like up to the Shadow Lake area, it just opens up, and the scenery back there, it's outstanding.
Yeah. Have you ever been to the Sierras? I've heard that the winds are very comparable to the Sierras.
I haven't. No, that area remains a little untapped for me. I would love to hike there someday.
Now, when you were out there on a trip with your wife for her birthday present, you're slugging away because you have to, because it's for her birthday. I know you're really enjoying it out there. Are you also approaching the hike and the trip from the point of view of a photographer?
I am. I love to document our trips, their memories. It's a way for me to like fully tap into. I like to capture photos of her during sunset, and we usually go out with a small group of friends. So some of these images have been shared on like Backpacker magazine and that kind of thing. The camera's always with me. So it is a storytelling thing. I've had to become more aware that I'm not like overdoing it with the camera and that kind of thing, and still taking the moments in. And it's really tough. Like, I don't know when I'll go back or be in these locations again at these times, at sunset, at sunrise. Always on this balance beam of I better not be shooting too much. I better be just taking it in too. We do live in this content heavy world of people always sharing and constantly capturing moments, where even I can admit that I need to be better about just taking something in for my own, like a mental picture or my own memory's sake. So I don't know if that answers fully, but yeah, a mix of capturing and storytelling is what I love to do when I'm out there.
Now, do you feel guilty for being too much the photographer, or do you hear it from others? Oh, hey, Frankie, put the camera away. Enough is enough.
No, I don't hear it from others. I think I'm pretty good about, I'm like the caboose a lot of times. I'm in the back, like watching the group go into the big scene. And that's a lot of my photography is just this little person, big scenery type shot. More so recently, it's become a point of I need to be a little bit more mindful of it simply because I'm not adventuring as much as I used to. So when I get out there, I get very excited to capture the moments. And like I said before, I don't know if I'll go back and hike 20 miles to get to some of these lakes and be there for an incredible sunrise or sunset. So it feels very once in a lifetime for me. And basically, like I could capture something that changes the trajectory of what I do or selling prints or so on. There's a balance for me and always trying to get better at that.
Yeah, what you're doing is exponentially more complex and better than me pulling out my iPhone and saying, oh, that looks cool. Let me take a picture of this. Walk us through whether it's on one of your personal trips or whether it's a assignment for work. Take us through what goes into setting up and getting the right shot. What kind of challenges do you face?
When you're on a backpacking trip, like the group's moving at a certain pace. I'm not going to stop everyone and say, oh, let's like back up. Let's run that again. That kind of thing. If it's a work project, then we have the liberty to slow the group down and get what we need. The things I capture on the backpacking trips are just more organic, more as we're moving and a little more kind of just taking things in as they happen rather than it being like we looked at it on Google Earth for the assignment or the project because we know the sunrise will be really amazing. And on the backpacking trips, if you're going to get a good sunrise or sunset, you're going to get it. If it's going to pour rain or that kind of thing, then same thing. Like you have to be very agile with kind of knowing conditions and lighting. I think I described earlier, a lot of my photography is just like little person, big scenery. So I'll stay to the back of the group and let everyone wander out in front of me. And that's where I capture some of my favorite images, where it's just like my group of friends and enjoying the environment and taking in the world as they would, not even knowing that I'm back there taking a photo. And those are some of my favorite images. The stuff we do on the work projects is a little more staged and posed because we need smiles and we're promoting an area that can be a little more directed around and we have a little more control in the environment. But same thing, like this last project, we went to do some horseback riding and a thunderstorm broke out and canceled the entire event. So it's just, you have to be very flexible and you know that the world's going to throw things at you that you can't always control. And there can be a lot of beauty in that. There can be frustration in that. So just staying on your toes and being agile in the situation.
Got it. Let's go to some more recent trips. Let's talk about Four Pass Loop. Where is Four Pass Loop and how long is it?
Four Pass Loop is in the Aspen Snowmass Wilderness. That one is just shy of 30 miles. I think it's like 8,000 feet elevation gain. So per the name, which is pretty obvious, you're going up and over 4 different passes in just incredible Colorado scenery. Some of the most picturesque, just like lush green, a little bit of snowpack left. Just these passes you go over are just outstanding. The views, it's just 360-degree views, wildflowers. And then the direction we went, you can do clockwise or counterclockwise. I want to say we went clockwise. And the last night we ended at Snowmass Lake, which is right under the peak. Snowmass, woke up and just the lake was glass like a mirror and just the perfect sunrise happened right outside of our tents. It's just it's a very challenging hike in that you have big days, lots of climbing, and you just know every day that you're going to get your butt kicked going up some kind of pass. And then once you get there, you're cruising on down to camp for most of them. There was one day, it was like a 12-mile day. I think we made it all the way back to the lake. I think it's called Lake Geneva or something like that. But just like scorching heat, mosquitoes were super bad again. But I think that's the suck that a lot of us love, is just like those super challenging long days that takes you to this, you feel very remote. There are very few people back there, and it's a little more rare to find that on Colorado trails. If you're out here in Colorado and you're looking for an amazing backpacking trip, I recommend that one big time. It's very unique landscapes, and take care of that place. It's very special back there.
Now, what is the permitting system in Colorado? Did you have to book those campsites in advance? You just get a permit for the trail and where you may? How does that work?
For 4Pass, you need a permit to park at a very busy trailhead, which is the Maroon Lake. It's just the main parking lot that takes everyone into those trails, which gets tons of traffic. But you need a permit to park there. If you don't secure that parking permit, you can take a shuttle bus from the town of Aspen to the trailhead. Excuse me. And that's tricky as well, because if you know the town of Aspen, there's not a lot of free public parking lots. So you just have to be very researched on where you park your vehicle and then head in from there. You actually don't need a permit to be on trail for that one. You just show up at camp, and there are various backpacking campground areas. Always make sure, of course, that you're camping in a designated site, because I've seen countless rangers on those trails to regulate that system. So nothing needed on trail, but just make sure you have the right permit for your vehicle, or you make a plan for that shuttle bus.
And any kind of animal encounters in Colorado that people should be on the lookout for?
A lot of the backpacking trips that I've talked about, you're going to want to have a bear can or a bear bag. I haven't actually encountered very many bears out here. I've definitely seen moose, plenty of deer.
Because they can still smell the llama on you, because you were at
Maybe.
nose height.
Maybe some llama spit on the backpack is what's keeping them away. But yeah, I think we've been lucky to not see more bears. And also, they have lots of room to roam and explore on their own. They can smell where the humans are. I think it's those areas that people don't take care of their food or pack things away appropriately that do have issues with bears. But definitely do your research. That's all I can say, is do your research beforehand, because there are rangers back there. They'll check your pack. They'll check your bear can. If you don't need a permit, then you're fine, but you do need those other things, and you do need to camp, like I said, in designated areas.
Got it. Let's change gears. Let's go to your most recent trip that you just finished and your legs are still shaky from. Tell us about the Alta VF4.
Oh man, this is a heavy one.
This is not in Colorado.
This is not.
No,
I got to travel to the motherland, I would say. Yeah, my family's from Italy, so this was super unique for us. I've had my eye on the Italian Dolomites for a while now, and this was super special. I think it's just under 60 miles, and it's over 15,000 feet of elevation gain, and then you're going down another 16,000 feet. Super varied terrain. It's hard for me to describe what it's like. It's essentially one of the most unique components is that there are two very challenging via ferrata routes that you encounter on this. For those not familiar with what that is, you have a climbing harness on with a lanyard and two carabiners, and you're just shimmying your way either parallel on the mountain, or you're using cables to go up and summit over certain peaks there, which it adds such an added challenge to really long days. You have your backpack on and you're clipped to a cable, and you're climbing away as well as hiking maybe 10 miles in the same day. This particular one, bless my wife's heart for all the work she put in for the planning, but you are able to stay at refugios, which makes this especially unique, because you don't necessarily need to bring food or a tent. You can't tent camp back there. It's illegal. It drives business to the refugios. So you book a bed in the dorm rooms, and you have to link up. I think we linked up 7 different refugios along our route. So at the end of the day, you arrive at the refugio, you get dinner, you get to mingle with other hikers, hopefully go to sleep in a quiet dorm room, and then wake up to a breakfast and coffee and continue on your hike from there. So I wouldn't necessarily call it like glamping because the hike days they're massive. They're big days. Some of them are over 12 miles in a single day. But it's just super unique to finish a hike day, sit there, have a beer, and then have a meal, and you're just fully immersed in Italian culture. And there's so many different ethnicities and visitors from different countries there that it's hard for me to describe how unique it was, but the scenery there is unmatched. You are surrounded by just massive peaks everywhere. We went to a variety of different alpine lakes. It's just like hard for me to pinpoint specific memories because I'm still like processing everything we experienced over the past 7 days.
Wow, refugios, that is the way to go.
Yeah.
Not having to carry a tent, you're eating dinner, having a beer, having some breakfast before you head out. That sounds like a nice gig.
They give you so much food too. After a big hike day, you feel like ravenous, and you'll have a backpacking meal, and maybe you're still hungry after that. Italian culture is you get a first course, and then you get a second course, and then you get dessert. You're just like, you're very full and satiated by the time you're done. Fresh pasta and delicious meals. It's like a mix of Italian food and Austrian food. So it's just like, it's very hearty. And the other unique thing is it's historic. That World War I happened here. These cables and routes, they exist because the army put these routes up. The high road was constructed during the war, and it's just such a unique way to experience the mountains. I highly recommend it for people that are curious about this.
Now, what is better, hiking at llama speed with a living grizzly bear repellent, or hiking somewhere where they have refugios?
The meal on the llama packing trip was good, but it's hard to beat some homemade, like handmade Italian pasta after a big day of hiking. Refugio would be my pick. And same thing with a crisp cold beer just out of the tap right when you're done hiking. It's just, and you cheers with your friends or some random people that you just saw along the route that day. It's a very special experience.
You made it to heaven. Holy cow.
For sure. It felt like a slice of that. Absolutely.
Now, did you get any work done while you're out there in the Dolomites? Take any shots? Any promising pics that we might see somewhere?
Yeah, stay tuned. I have lots of photos thousands of photos I'm sifting through. Yeah, it was really crazy to bring my camera. Still had a pretty heavy pack, even though we didn't need certain things, but I tried my best to, when I got to a safe spot on the Via Ferrata, to pull it out and shoot just to show just the diversity of terrain that exists and what it's like. It's not just hiking over passes. It's like a mixture. It's this great unison of hiking and climbing for people that love to do both those things. It's very attainable too. We'd basically never done Via Ferrata before we went out there and learned quickly. And yeah, we were able to finish it successfully.
And was this with spreadsheet?
Very detailed itinerary spreadsheet, clickable links to all the refugios. We might release like a guide down the road so you could as well build a similar itinerary to us. But yes, I love my wife for how planned and organized she is. Otherwise, you can't do this unless you're organized. Yeah.
Now, I was referring to spreadsheet your wife, not spreadsheet the actual spreadsheet. She planned this trip and she was with you.
Correct. Yep.
Fantastic. What did she think of the trip?
She was blown away. She trains a lot as a trail runner and maybe wants to go back one day to do a bigger run there. But we were both just enamored. And I go bouldering and climb a little more than her, but she got really into the Via Ferrata part, and we loved it. We loved every minute of it. The food, the memories. It's so many amazing memories out there. This would be a tough one to top.
All right. And that's why she handed it off to you. She says, you get to plan the next one. That seems like a lot of pressure.
A lot. I would say maybe New Zealand or Patagonia might be next, but it is a lot of pressure without a doubt.
Now, I think for her next birthday, and since you're in charge of planning it, you should apply on her behalf to the Barkley Marathons, since she's an endurance runner.
What's this? Yeah, tell me more.
Oh, no. You have not heard of the Barkley Marathons?
No.
Okay. You don't know about the Browns or about Barkley Marathons. Barkley Marathons, I promise you, Frankie, you will not regret this. Just do a search on YouTube, type in Barkley Marathons, and there are two main documentaries. And the titles of the documentaries will give you some insight into what kind of race this is. The first is The Race That Eats Its Young. And the second title is Where Dreams Go to Die. It is crazy ultra marathon that is run at Frozen Head State Park in Tennessee. And the creator of it, he's just a real colorful character, a little bit odd. This is not your typical race. In the 35 years that it's been in existence, there have now only been 18 finishers. Whoa. So it is a crazy, wacky race. And if you take just a minute, or not just a minute, if you take 90 minutes of your time and your wife's time and you watch one of those documentaries, it'll be time well spent.
All right. I'll have to grab that name at the end here, but we'll check it out. Absolutely.
Okay. And I think if you were to enter her into that and she got accepted, it would either be the best thing that's ever happened to her or she would hate you.
All right. Maybe that's the one then.
All right. Hey, Frankie, you know where we are?
Where are we?
Hiking hacks.
Oh, the heck. I hope you didn't give it up too early. This is where you get to share some trail wisdom with our listeners to make their next outdoor experience even better. What do you have for them?
I think for me, hiking hack. Maybe I gave it up, but I think it has to be relatable to what I said and talking about the camera or the phone. Is just make sure when you're out there, I don't even know that this is purely related as like a hiking hack, but just to put down your device, to disconnect completely and make sure that you reconnect with the outdoor world and our outdoor spaces, and just making sure that you feel fully immersed in the moment so that you can remember where you are, remember how special it is, and to be here as a human and be able to hike where we can go with our legs, and to be a capable hiker in general, and to get outside and just fully immerse yourself without capturing photos or phone videos, and just being fully immersed in the moment. That would be my hiking hack or tip, is just remember to take it in for yourself and create memories that you will live on with and always have with you in your core and in your memory.
Got it. Well said. So there you have it. We are just about done here. Hope our listeners enjoyed our time with Frankie. I want to thank him for joining us this week. Free-water, how can our listeners keep up with you on social media, and where can they find updates on your latest adventures?
Sure. Yeah. As you've dropped my name a number of times, I appreciate being on here and I appreciate the opportunity. On Instagram, it's Fr33water. You can read about a lot of our adventures, our trip guides. I'm going to put up a big blog post about the Altavia trip and a whole pack list on my blog, freewater.com. Once again, the E's are threes, so Fr33water.com. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and I love to just communicate and send me a DM if you have any questions about a certain hike or an adventure that we've gone on, or you want to know where I took a photo from. Just send me a question. I love to chat with people and meet up and go on hikes with people I meet through social media. Follow me on there, and we have lots of incredible adventures up ahead, and I can't wait for what the future will bring. But once again, I appreciate the time, and it was great to share some stories on here.
And if you go hiking with Free-water, he'll let you get out way in front of him, and he'll take a picture of you looking tiny in the big outdoor spaces. That'll be a keepsake.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, check out some of the photos that are going to be up on the post, and I look forward to sharing this podcast with my audience as well.
Nice. Remember to check out Hiker Trash Radio on social media as well. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And if you have comments or clips you want to share, you can send it to me at hikertrashradio@gmail.com.
Off the beaten path.
Now, unfortunately, we can't always be on the trail. And when we're not, we need to find a way to get our adventure fixed. So, Free-water, I'm going to ask you to share some outdoor adventure media with our listeners to help them get by. This can be a book or a movie or a documentary. We call this segment Off the Beaten Path. Any recommendations in that area?
So not necessarily through social media or just anything?
It could be YouTube and something just to lose yourself for a while.
Sure.
Go down a rabbit hole.
I don't know if he's been on your podcast, but I'm a big fan of Craig Adams. He lived here in Colorado, and I was able to link up with him for some hiking. I love his channel, very melodic, minimal, just can be fully immersed in his hiking films. That's where I go for a lot of my inspiration, as well as just photo books or just picking up a traditional magazine is what really sparks some of my ideas, whether that's Backpacker Mag, and just reading about different things that exist out there rather than scrolling on your phone, picking up something that's physical or print to get some ideas for your next hike or adventure.
Yeah, Craig Adams, I'm familiar with him. We have exchanged messages. Our times just have not worked out yet, but he is going to be a guest on an upcoming episode. He just doesn't know that for sure yet, but we'll get that lined up. If I have to drop your name, I'm going to drop your name. So there you go.
Do it. Yep.
All right.
Have we not asked you?
And before we wrap things up, just one more segment called What Have I Not Asked You That You're Dying to Tell Us About? What do we miss tonight?
Ooh, we didn't talk much about it, but we did do some hiking in Hawaii, and we hope to go back. There's a pretty epic backpacking trip there. Maybe that will be next year's birthday adventure, but yeah, we were fortunate to go to Hawaii recently, and it was actually on our honeymoon, and take that in from an adventure standpoint. Incredible scenery there. The hiking is very different than Colorado, very different scenery than what we have out here, but just another place that is just full of adventure, especially the island of Kauai. Yeah, I wish we could have chatted about that too, but I know we only have so much time. Another place that is just set for tons of adventure and hiking, if that's what you're looking to get into, I recommend going to Kauai.
That just means we need to have you back on a future episode.
Oh, I'd love that. That'd be awesome.
All right. Hey, we are finished. I want to thank you for coming on the podcast, Frankie. We want to wish you the very best in your future adventures, whatever you're planning for next year's birthday for Spreadsheet. Hope you're successful. Definitely have you come back on and tell some more stories about Hawaii and this next big adventure, which is undetermined yet, that you're going to take. As we close up today, do you have any shout outs to friends and family, Free-water?
I appreciate all my friends and family, especially my wife, who's now referred to as Spreadsheet, but I wouldn't be here today without their support. And I love my hiking buddies, Nate, Calvin, you know who you are. Yeah, my close friends who stay very true. And I love getting out on ventures with these people. And oh yeah, shout out to our dog, Rizzo. We love you, Riz.
Rizzo. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Always remember, the trail is the trail. It doesn't care if you want to go downhill. It doesn't care if it's almost dark and you're looking for a campsite. It doesn't even care if your llama's car alarm is going off and the bushes are rustling. The trail is the trail. Embrace the suck.